Max here with Hard Water Freaks. I've been getting sweated for like 2 years of how to build a Smittty sled because I use a Smittty sled and my design is like amazing. That's only because I took all the designs I could find on the internet and took all the best parts of them and put them into one. So we actually went out, we got this set of skis. This is cross-country skis. You can tell because they're wider. There's another set right here if you want to check those out. Right here, and then another set behind us actually, right here. We're actually going to be making, and then we are actually going to be making 3 sets today, and we're probably going to sell 2 of the sets. We only need 1 set. We're actually going to be building Matt's set today. Matt's right here. That's Matt. So we're going to be building 3 sets today and sell the other 2. Pretty much no profit, but nonetheless we're going to sell them, and because we want to get them in the hands of other people. But we want to film this so I can show you how I built mine, and it is literally the perfect Smittty sled. So stay tuned, and we're going to start with first disassembling the boot click-ins off of the cross-country skis. We're going to take these off. So we're going to show you how to do that. And mind you, this is different for every single kind of ski, but we're going to show you how to do it on this one. All right, so go ahead and pull that off, Matt. That's what gets you access to those screws. Matt's going to go ahead and pull this one off. Oh, and it looks like it's corroded.
Yeah.
Big time corrosion. Yeah, we're going to need to get a flat head for these. Another tactic here, take a Sawzall and just saw these right off because that doesn't matter. Obviously the screws don't go through. Those just don't matter. So you could just Sawzall these right off. All right, Matt's got that one. There we go. All we got to do is take that off, then we got to start working on the back. I got mine off over here. Slowly taking these skis apart. Alright guys, so next up, we need to make these pieces. As you can see on this sled, this one's broken, but this is what it looks like. So it's 8 inches wide. The board is running this way. We need 8 inches wide. It's obviously 9.5 tall, but we need 8 inches wide times 4. So we're going to cut 4 pieces, 8, 8, 8, and 8 out of this board. So stay tuned. Alright guys, so 8 inch, 8 inch, 8 inch, 8 inch. We got 4 lines drawn. We scored them. Didn't really draw lines, we scored them. But we got this by Ryobi. It's Ryobi, not Ryobi. So this could obviously be Alright guys, so up next, cross beams. I'll explain all these accessories on here afterwards. Cross beams. These are what clicks into here. The other side will be over here. So these are 30 inches. I like them to be 30 inches. The average ice fishing sled is 30 inches wide. So 2x4s. Those were other pieces were 2x10s. These are 2x4s, green treat, or just any form of treated. And these are 30 inches long, 2x4. Make sure you're safe about this. This is eye safety. Matt borrowed it to me. It's probably not rated for anything, but nonetheless, you gotta make your 2 cuts. Like I said before, nothing needs to be perfect. This is a Smittty sled, and you'll see at the end of the build, everything is gonna be jostly and jiggly, so don't ride the perfection train when you make these. So we made 2 scores, 1, 2, here we go. Alright, as you guys can see, I'm the doctor of cutting, so pretty much you can just call me Daddy Cuts a Lot. Get that out. Alright guys, so next up, we have to make this, okay? This is going to be the 2x4 that sits down on the 2x10. You're going to want the grain running this way, okay? Not this way, that would be the end of the wood. You want it to run this way. This board is ultimately going to sit down inside of here. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the center of this board. We obviously know the center here, it's 8 inches. The center is going to be 4 inches, so I'm just going to make a little puncture. You can use a pencil, whatever you want. And then the center of a 2x4. As you guys all know, a 2x4 is not actually 4 inches, it's about 3.5 inches exactly. So if you figure out the exact halfway mark, find the halfway mark of both of these. So it's going to be 1.5 inches and 1.5 inches, obviously equals 3. This is to break it down for the dummy proof here. So find the halfway mark, put a mark in it. Now all I'm going to do is I want to line these 2 up, okay? So I just cheat it right here. Okay, so this is dead center for both these boards, okay? I want to make marks where this board's gonna sit. You can obviously do this all with measurements, okay? So these marks are where this board would sit. Now go ahead and add an 1/8 inch off of each one of these sides about. The reason that we do this is because you want that board's obviously gonna absorb water, it's gonna have wiggle room, but you want it to have wiggle room with the board inside of it like this for when you're going over rocks, humps, ice chunks, and stuff like that. Don't make it a tight fit, make it a loose fit so that board can jostle around in there as you're driving around, and this way it'll go over and flex with the terrain underneath it. If it's tight and snug, it'll break the ends of these boards off and then it's trash. So give yourself about an 1/8 inch on each side, wiggle room. All right, so Matt's gonna go with the little jigsaw approach here. He's gonna cut the 2x4. Wider. Chunk of the 2x4 cut out of that one. We're going to do it to the rest of these 4. You can also do this with a circular saw. Hold that vertical. You can buy running a circular saw blade over it over and over and over and over again, back and forth, but obviously jigsaw works a lot better. Alright guys, so obviously you heard some background noise. We have a big heater going. Show them the heater, man. Yeah. Because it's freaking cold outside. So what you're going to want to do next is these ultimately are going to sit down into here. And we're going to be putting about 6-inch lag bolts down in there. So you need to drill, so 3/4 inch off the edge, drill a 3/8 inch hole in each end there. So we're just going to go put the spade bit on there with a 3/8. Put it on. Okay, other side. They don't need to be perfect. You'll see in the end. Okay, there you go. So do that to both cross beams. So up next, you guys are going to want to get a 1/2 inch spade bit or a 1/2 inch drill bit. And what you're going to do is now that hole needs to line up right here. So that's our goal there. So check this out. So that board, we need to make that mark. And the best way to make that, see that wiggle room we were talking about? You want this wiggle room. If you make that snug, these pieces will break off at some point in time during the season. So go ahead and just make a little mark in there like this with that's with the 3/8. Now you're gonna switch out to the 1/2. Go ahead and put that in there. And it doesn't need to be exactly where you marked it. Make sure you just make it in the dead center between the two. So we're gonna actually start it here. And we're gonna go like this. Right on the edge of that hole. See, so make sure it's nice and level straight up and down. So what that is, I'll show you what that is. That's the receiver for your cross beam, like that. Obviously this is cut completely different than my last one. We still have the countersink, but that's a 3/8 inch bolt and a 1/2 inch hole. You want that hole bigger because what happens is that's gonna get wet and it's gonna flex, open and close, open, close. The wood's gonna swell with water. So do not make the receiver hole 3/8 inch. Make it 1/2 inch. And it's not, this one isn't sitting all the way down because we still have the countersink for this nut. So what's going on now is for our main bolt here, our lag bolt, this is a 6-inch lag bolt with a nut and washer. This bolt, this nut's actually going to be on here, and you want that, because if you see, just like I just got them showing you before, see that gap? So there's going to be a gap there. You want to countersink that. so that nut can sit down in there. Now you can either use a spade bit just to make the hole a little bit bigger and deeper, or you can use this handy dandy Bob the Builder, Matt Cook. That's me. That's him. Countersinker. I have countersinkers as well. They're just not that big. So we actually already measured up the nut. We need to go about 4 steps in. Probably gonna go 5 steps because, like I said, do not make anything snug. Make it all really loose so that everything can jostle around. So we're gonna run this in. So right about to about 5 steps up that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're gonna check it a little bit more. Right there. And then we check it like this. Look at that. So now it sits perfectly flat, just like we said. 5 steps in on that one. We're gonna do that to all of them. So we have our holes drilled. They're all countersunk and buried far enough that once this is in and it's through the 2x4, it'll sit all the way down, but through the 2x4. So you're gonna wanna go ahead, it doesn't matter what end you start with. We drilled, it's a 3/8 inch. This is 3/8 inch hole. Just go ahead, doesn't need to be threaded in there. Just bury it. Do the other side. Put your washers on. Put your nylon nut on each one. If you didn't know anything about nylon nuts, never run them fast. Nice and slow all the way down. If you speed this down, it'll melt the nylon so fast, it'll lock up and you won't be able to get it off. So, nice and slow down, work them all the way down, both boards. So, little tip. So on the new one, we use the pan head. A little bit more of a fiasco because you can't control it from the backside, so you gotta play with the shaft as you are gonna run this nut down. If you really want, go ahead and use a normal hex head bolt, and then you can run it from both sides. We did a pan head, that's just what we wanted to go with this time. But otherwise, if you want to deal with a lot less BS, just get a hex head. And then when you get it down there, when you get it nice and ran down, tighten from this side and you'll sink it. You can put a little countersink in there if you want, but you'll sink this. Washer will stop this one, and this one will sink in, okay, if you want it to be flush. Otherwise, go with a pan head, and then you'll just have to work from this end pretty much the entire way. So, 2 different options, but both work great. A little tip that I learned on my last one, you stay right there. On my first, top line Smittty sled build, I didn't have these screws here on this one, and I actually, because there was too much torque, I actually broke a chunk of this off. The sled still works flawless, just because I do have such a long bolt that sits down in here. But as you can see, pre-drill, I'm gonna do it in a second, pre-drill, countersink, run a 4-inch deck screw inside of here. Okay, so we're gonna do that on this one right here. You're just gonna find the rough center, run it straight down. There we go. Then you're gonna countersink it a little bit. There we go. Same thing on the other side. Countersink it. Then you're gonna go ahead and switch over. Deck screw. Oh, hex head. I'll edit that section out. Right here. Right here? This one?
Yeah, that one.
No.
Oh, hex head, never mind. Well, that's a torque bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
I got a whole bunch of them in the drawer if you can't find them. Is that the right one?
Yep. You're gonna go ahead and run this in. Okay. Do not bury that, crank on it, or torque it too hard. It'll break that little piece off. Nice and easy, do all 4 sets. So up next, we have the eye bolts. These are for your ropes. You want 1 on each one, so you run the rope through the front one, and then it ties to the back one. I'll show you that right here. So you'd be dragging from this side, dragging from this way like this. Here's how you'd be dragging. You want it to run through this one so that you're pulling up on this side. I don't use these. They're completely unnecessary. I tried them. I don't like them. But you're going to want to have an eye bolt here with a washer and an eye bolt here. Tie to this one, run it through this one. Then, when you're not using your skis, you can use this as a tie. Run this around twice. Put it away. So we're going to show you how to put those on right here. You're just going to find the rough center, 3/8 inch bit. Get it started. We're going to completely destroy Matt's table here. Just kidding. Get it out the edge here. All the way through. You're going to put your 3/8 inch new eye bolt in there. Grab your hammer. Bury it. Flip it over. 3/8 inch washer. 3/8 inch nylon nut. Take this. You're going to bury this nut. Bury it all the way down. You're done. All 4. So as you see, we have all these done. All the eye bolts are in. All the peaks are supported. Now we want to use our skis, and we want to find out where we want to be putting these on there. So what I like to do, find the center from here, tip the base, the center, and I subtract 6 inches. That brings me out on this one, 28 inches. So center was 34 because it's 68 inches long. So I went 34, scratched it off, minus 6 inches. I went down to 28 inches right here. So I'm going to go ahead, go 28 inches again. Right there. That's going to be my center. Now I'm evenly going to space these about 16 to 24 inches apart. We're going to figure out how we want this Smittty sled to actually sit, how far we want them apart. Something close to this because I made this one down here based off of how big an ice fishing sled is. So this one on center, about 21 inches apart, end to end, sitting about 30. So we're going to put end to end about 30 apart. So the reason I did that minus 6, found the center, subtract 6, is you want the weight to sit back on the Smittty sled, not forward. That gives you a lot of ski. Just like this one. I went center on this one because these are shorty skis. But you're going to want a lot of ski on these longer skis to be able to pick up and ride up so that when you're pulling it, it's riding up on top of the snow. If you go too far forward, it's going to want to dig. So sit it back a little bit on these longer sets of skis. If you have a shorter set like this little guy right here, make sure you just put it dead center in the even. So now that we have that mark, we went dead center. We sat it, so center of the ski, which is here, sat it back 6 inches so we get the weight to the back of the Smittty sled. What we're going to do is we're going to make a 14-inch gap between the two. Our two supports. So what you're going to do is just go ahead, like I said, nothing here needs to be perfect. We said that multiple times today. Throw that 7-inch mark on there. We want it right in here. We want it right in here. Same thing here. We're going to throw that 7 on that mark. We're going to go here to 14. We're going to go here to 0. So what that's going to do, where we want our uprights, is like this. Sorry, like this. Go ahead and back up, Matt, show them that. So that's how we're going to want our sled. And then a cross beam here, cross beam here. This is about the perfect distance of an ice fishing sled to sit comfortably on these two. So we're going to go ahead and get those marked up and we're going to get ready to mount them. Well, stay tuned for 1 second. So we got the clamp on there. That's where we're going to want this one to sit. You guys can see you got even spaces on both sides. It's going to sit dead center. So what you're going to do is clamp it, go ahead and flip it over. And then you're just going to drill 4 holes right up the middle. So you obviously know that there's a piece of steel in there. One, we'll go to the far side, right here. Drill another one here. And then once we move the clamp, we'll drill another one back in there. All right, so we got those holes drilled. This is the one thing that everybody wonders about, is how don't the screws slow the ski down? They countersink. So every single one of them, there's a layer right here, the waxing layer we'll call it. That's gonna let you sink just below the surface. That little bit, you can sand it down. Your bottom of your ski, go ahead and back up a little bit, Matt. So the bottom of your ski can get, on these Smitties, can get all scratched to living heck. Little bumps over here, huge gouges as you see. This thing still pulls like a dream, even though it's all scratched up. Doesn't matter, I don't wax it. You can see there I put 4 screws in. So that's what we're going to be doing on these ones. So we're going to do all of them, all 4 sets. So we have this ski done. Show them that one on the floor. We got the cross beams, that ski's done. Next we're going to show you the rope idea. So this is just 550 cord. You could also use an anchor rope. So you're going to run it through the front one, head over to the back one, just tie an overhand knot. Nice and easy. That's it. Yank it back out. From there, I go 3 arm lengths. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to cut it right here. So do the exact same thing on the other side. We're almost done. So we ran the rope through both sides. The end of each one of these has a loop like this. Okay? When the sled's side by side like this, go ahead and walk it out. These will go into a carabiner. That'll go into a deer drag harness from Dunham's or Fleet Farm, Shields, wherever you want to go. Get a deer drag harness, get a carabiner, put them together here. Now you have, check it out. Make sure they pull even. If they don't pull even and one of these is just a little bit too long, just tie an overhand knot and that'll shorten that one up. Okay? Or if one's too long, same thing, tie a knot in the one that's too long, shorten it up, and if one is just too short, same thing. Tie the other one up in a knot. So make sure that they're both perfectly even. As you guys can see, if I hold them, they have the same amount of slack in them. They're perfect, okay? So what you're gonna do now, just go ahead and pick it up, wrap it around your eye bolts, wrap it around, cinch it up, wrap it around one more time. That one's put away. Same thing with the other one, and then we're on to the next step. All right, a step that almost every single person forgets, and actually most people don't do. Go ahead and get yourself some exterior caulk. This is external, heavy duty, liquid nails. What you're gonna do is come on over here with that camera. You wanna go ahead, you need to seal the deal here. Just go ahead and run that, just like this. Ooh, she's out of hand. And then you just want to go ahead and put a big bead. Doesn't need to be pretty. A big bead. Alright guys, so the reason that we are going to be doing this is you want to stop water, especially in the wintertime when the sun hits the skis and you're out ice fishing and you're done using it and you're at your spot. The sun's going to hit the skis and heat up, okay? What that's going to do is that is going to allow the ski to heat up. It'll get underneath that wood, and then later on that moisture is going to freeze and then crack the wood. So seal where the wood meets the ski. You'll never have that issue. I did it on this one. Let me get this off of here. I did it on this one, as you can see. Look at this groove. I got silicone all along the edge. I never had an issue. So seal that lip. Next up, yoga mat. This is $7 at Dunham Sports. It's usually about 10 bucks at Walmart, wherever you're gonna go. It's yoga mat. All it really is nice rubber with grooves on it. So it's taped up right here. So as you can see, it's just a yoga mat. All it is rubber. It's got some traction on here, and that's gonna go right here on this. So that's gonna end up looking, you need a stapler. I use bolts on my first one with washer, little hex bolts. Okay, you're just gonna put it right across the top like that. We're gonna use an industrial grade stapler to do this because that's really all you need. This was overkill, so check it out. We're gonna put it together for the final little piece here for you guys. So, put them in. There we go. Now, like I said, this does not need to be perfect, and you want it to wiggle. You want this, and you want this capability. Reason being is that when you strap the sled down, you use these eye bolts, put your sled on here, bungee cord or a little ratchet strap, go to the eye bolts, that'll seal this up a little bit, and you want this wiggle so that when you're actually out on the ice, you're going over rough terrain, your sled can do this while the other ski stays on the ground. It can do this, and it can do this. You want this in the sled. Do not firm it up. You will break these tabs off in a heartbeat. So keep the wiggle room. You want this to be wiggle, and make sure that those holes for these bolts to go down in are 1/2 inch, and these are 3/8, so that when they swell up from moisture, you can still in and out. that's it for the Smittty sled build. I hope that this brings joy to your adventures, makes it a lot easier. This drags way smoother than any sled on the industry. Make sure that you follow my instructions. I've done a lot of trial and error. Make sure you leave all that play in there. Make sure you leave enough rope. And make sure that if you have any questions, inbox me on Facebook through Hardwater Freaks, on the page, group, or even on Instagram, or you can just drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think, and I hope you guys bring a ton of fish topside much easier with your Smittty sled.